What's one mistake that you see councils are making when planning charging infrastructure?
Well, council has lots of things to consider. And I think it's hard to kind of highlight one mistake. That in itself is quite a negative way to sort of put things. But I think I want to see them thinking carefully about their end users all the way through, so that they are engaging effectively in the right way at the right time. That doesn't mean constantly broadcasting everything that they're doing, because that can generate some negative backlash, but really taking time to make sure they've understood the needs of streets that they're going to dig up, or users that they're going to serve, or others who might not be using charge points or public charging, but need to get a pushchair or a wheelchair or a bin out and around. So I'd love to see a great increase in kind of thoughtful engagement at the policy stage, at the strategy stage, and at the implementation stage.
Great, thank you for that. From what you're seeing across different councils, and this question is somewhat tied into my previous one, what are the top performers doing differently right now?
The councils that are really pushing ahead, I think, are those that have passionate, committed, and talented officers, who are really well equipped and surrounded by supportive teams. There are a number of real leading lights out there who have been working and slogging away in many ways at the sort of the beginning, creating a trail for others to follow through, and that's fantastic. But what we're seeing in the second wave of those that are fast followers is they've used things like the government's Levi capability funding to build out their team with analysts and strategists, with those that can kind of get the job done and manage contracts. And then they're able to pull together as a team to work with the private sector, who ultimately are the ones doing a lot of the investment and funding, to get EV charging out, which gives the confidence and visibility for residents and businesses to switch to EVs.
Thank you, Chris. Which really brings me to my next question. And this is quite a real one now. As cross-pavement solutions start to scale, how do you see this affecting the role and viability of public charging hubs? They ultimately would be competing for the same demand.
So it's definitely the case that the charging energy needed for all the EVs we have today and expect to have in the future will have to come from a source. Like, it's only 1 kWh from a public charger or from a home charger or from a cross pavement charging solution. So there is definitely the potential there for a bit of competition, but I see this very positively in that the extreme rise we're projecting through some of the work that Cenex does in our Nevis service and the like shows that there's going to be a need for a huge amount more charging of all types. And actually, if we look at what drivers, residents and businesses need, wherever a vehicle stops for a period of time and is near electricity, charging at the lowest possible power, so it keeps it cheaper, is going to be necessary. And so that means actually, I think we can see a real complementarity between the likes of cross-pavement solutions, public charging. Don't forget workplace charging, or even charge point sharing. You know, there's a really significant number of private chargers out there on driveways that other people can use. So these sorts of things all play together, I think, and are different horses for different courses. And so I'm not convinced that there's too much of a threat from one to the other. For instance, in areas where it might be really difficult to put public charging in for a variety of reasons, or uptake might be lower, a demand-led approach for cross-pavement solution might be exactly what's needed, and those are the places that the public CPOs might not want to go. So I think there's a way for everybody to play together, and what I see is we're an industry full of passionate and optimistic and positive collaborators, and so I'm sort of hopeful that it's not going to result in inappropriate competition, but good competition that brings good solutions for the right users.
Absolutely, and we're nowhere, I suppose, near in terms of charging infrastructure provision, but we really need to be at this stage. So it's all very good to have all those aspects now and all those options available. And if you're advising a local authority starting today afresh, what's the top 2 decisions you would recommend them to get right early?
I think if I was advising a local authority who was starting out today fresh, firstly I'd say, where have you been the last few years? But if this some magic out of thin air, and of course we've got local government reorganisation, so there's going to be a degree of staff turnover and newish local authorities being created. I would say two things. Firstly, work hard to get a really robust strategy in place that is bought in with your senior decision makers and your colleagues in legal, procurement, highways, parking, and climate change, and all those sorts of folks that you need the support of so you can build a collaborative team. And secondly, reach out to other local authorities. There's so much experience out there. We've seen that in the training that Cenex provides, in the networking that we do with our colleagues at EST and PA through the networking channel. There's a lot of people out there who've already done it. They've written the template, they've got the documents, they've got the T's and C's nailed. We want to draw on that best practice, and that'll move them from perhaps starting fresh to a plan and support as they come across bumps on the way.
Well, Chris, thank you very much for sharing your advice and sharing your views on this. That's really helpful.